Let's put our hands together and let's make a wish that may all beings be free, may they understand their mind, may they liberate themselves from the things that they are going through, and may all beings be happy, peaceful, and blissful on this lovely morning. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So let's get back to our Buddhism 101. We have been going through quite a few things, but we also did not go into very depth. We sort of went into like a basic depth, because before we go into more deeper understanding, we need to cover some basic lingo and terminology. Like that's there in any field you go into, whether you are a doctor or whatever the profession, marketeer, salesman. You need to have some basic lingo, so that's what the industry speaks in. So in this business, like I'm just trying to explain what vibhuti is, so we need some context in it. So we need some bare minimum words. I don't want to overwhelm you with a lot of Pali words also, because then it's like trying to read the Aramaic or a Hebrew Bible, Old Testament. No one understands, right? That shouldn't be the point, but at least some bare minimum understanding of some of the basic concepts. Forget the words, the concept. The concept is more important. So that's why we brought out the 5 aggregates, which is an important understanding. Before we go to some of the main ideas like the 3 marks of existence and the 4 noble truths. So today, let's start with where we left off last time. We looked at the Eightfold Path, and we also divided the Eightfold Path to 3 parts: wisdom, ethical conduct, and emancipation. So today I put a word for samadhi, the other day I put question marks for samadhi. So I put the word right balance for samadhi. Now let me get to that at the end. But we start with the wisdom part, right view and right intention, because some of these things might be like a path. By literally it says noble eightfold path. So which means that you are supposed to do something. But before you do anything, you need to have a clear understanding. So that's the first part. The clear understanding of what we are going to do is the first. If you don't understand that, you'll be just doing something. Right? So that's why everything else is now to be a conducive path for that. It's supporting that. It's helping that. Even the ethical conduct, sila, it's not just mere virtue. We can have a policy like I'm going to refrain from eating, consuming meat. Why? I don't know. I'm just practicing that. There's no reason for that, which is good. It can be viewed as good. Could be a personal preference. But the other day at the KW festival, we met some people who are trying to reduce the global warming by turning into vegan. Now that has a more in-depth way of thinking in that. They are trying to reduce the carbon footprint by consuming less meat and going into more sustainable sources. So now that they have a better vision of what they are doing, and their practice is in alignment with their vision. So I'm not trying to discuss which vision is the correct vision here, but then I also told the right view in Buddhism, that there is no view. It's a little confusing again, but let's get back to that on a much later day, because this right view idea is the key of the philosophy, and it's a very hard thing to grasp. Even within the Buddhist community, I don't think people agree with that a lot. They need some view. But then this idea is that everyone can have a view, but that view is very limiting. It's based on our sensual experience, it's based on our rational thinking, it's based on the knowledge that we have received from previous generation. So are we satisfied with that view, that knowledge, or are we going to be seeking for a different knowledge? Are we satisfied with what we have gotten already, or are we in a mood of research, like an empty-minded, beginner-minded mood rather than a full-minded mood? So the classic depiction of this is the Zen master with the cup, trying to pour tea onto the cup, and he says, you can't fill a cup which is already full. So that's Samma Ditti. And ethical conduct, right speech, action and livelihood are all to support that, be a reinforcement for that. There's even another discussion called Anuggahita Sutta, how it would support it. And then comes the doing part, right effort. Now, Vayama literally means an action, you are doing something. But then Sati and Samadhi, the two other words, we need to get into Sati and Samadhi, whether it's concentration, whether it's mind absorption, mental absorption. There's a lot of words around that. But Samadhi here is known as if someone is enlightened to the fullest. He has his Samadhi is complete. Right? So Samadhi, if you go to the etymological Sanskrit and Pali meaning, it is two syllable, Sama Adi. Sama means homogeneously covered, like it's very homogeneous. It's Sama, or like it's full and peaceful and homogeneous. Adi means it's well established, Sama Adi. So imagine someone who's completely well established, balanced, grounded, send. I don't know how else to explain it, but it's very different to the idea of being concentrated. Being concentrated is that you're thinking of something, or you're contemplating on something, you're focused on a fixed point. That's concentration. But this is not like that. This is your nature. This is your nature of being, not an activity that you are doing. It's your nature of being. And then other idea, Samma Sati, which is translated as mindfulness. So there could be a effortful mindfulness. You are trying to be mindful, or you are mindfuling. I don't know if it's the right word. You are trying to be mindful. Or there's an automatic mindfulness that you don't need any attention. You don't require any doing. It's your nature. It's your being. Right? So this Samadhi we need to distinguish from a doing to a being. Those are two different things. Doing is one, that you are putting an effort. That's why we have right effort, Samma Vayama. That is a doing. But Sati and Samadhi is a outcome or a fruit of that doing. You water the plant, you give the nutrients, and then the flower blooms. So that's a being. So homogeneous integration, balanced establishment are good words for Samma Samadhi. And so let's move on to one important concept, one last concept. I don't want to burden you with a lot of things again. There's this wonderful idea called the 5 hindrances, which would keep someone away from attaining that Samma Samadhi. For example, for your mind to be peaceful, blissful, what is obstructing that? The 5 hindrances. And this is a very simple concept. Kamachanda, Vyapada, Tina Midda, Uddacha, Kukkucha, Vichikicha. In a simple term, what it means is that if you are thinking of ice cream right now, you can't focus on Buddhism 101. You're thinking about ice cream or something, some sensual pleasure that you want to indulge with, right? And your mind is fixated on that. You can't have a peace of mind. So your mind, instead of being Sama Adi, well established, grounded, it will be pulled externally. It will be pulled towards a sight, sound, aroma, taste, or a touch. It will be pulled that way. So you are not at real peace. You are not resting in peace. You are pulled somewhere. And then Vyapada is the opposite side of it, the ill will and the aversion. If you have gotten into a fight before you came to the monastery, or an argument, like a heated argument, confrontational or non-confrontational, because in your head you are confronting that situation. It could be a person, a situation, an animal, anything, or even a laptop. Right? I hate my laptop and I'm cursing my laptop right now. So then I can listen to Buddhism 101. There was a problem with Wi-Fi, right? So if I'm full with the ill will, again my mind is clouded. It's not clear, like there's no clarity in it. It could be the sensual desire or ill will, or there's this thing called Tina Midda. Now back in the day there was no depression and ADHD terms coined at the time. So Tina Midda is called the sloth and topper. If someone has been depressed in your life, you would understand that there's a phase where you do not want to do anything. You don't want to get out, you don't want to move, you are just in that space. You simply don't want to do anything, right? So sloth and topper are states of mind like that, where Tina Midda, Midda literally means that it's a more tropical. When you have milk and when you make yogurt, it gets solidified. So midda has a meaning like that. It's solid. It's staying there, stale, and not wanting to move, right? So Tina midda, sloth and topper. And sloth. Do you know the animal sloth in Costa Rica? Yeah, sloth. He moves so slow. Sloth and topper. Right? So that is one. And uddacha kukucha, restlessness and remorse. Now again, if you have done something wrong today, right, and you have a guilt and a remorse, that remorse won't make your mind free. You are continuously thinking about that. And then there's mental agitation, anxiety, about something which has happened in the past. You are stuck on that. Uddacha kukucha, restlessness and remorse. And then the final one is doubt. Let's say that I am now this term has to be very well understood, because a lot of monks would use, or clergymen would say, you have to completely trust me. Trust in everything I say. Right? Don't have any doubt. Don't have any doubt in Buddha, Dhamma or Sangha. Right? Now, this is not the doubt that is, it's not believing in a person. It's the doubt that which is in our mind, that we are indecisive. Why are we indecisive? Because we do not have clarity, right? So this is not believing in a person, or because this word can be often used in religion and spirituality to make a cult. You should not doubt me. You should completely trust me. That is not what Buddha mentions here. He says that you have to be inquisitive, you need to be rational, you need to think for yourself. But then you can't be indecisive. In your mind, you need to find that proper conviction. Now, I'm very careful in using this word conviction, belief, and not doubting, because it has been abused in the religious world. It has been abused in the religious world. But Vichikicha is how you find clarity in your mind. There's no hesitation, there's no indecisiveness, right? The other day we were discussing about Captain Jack Sparrow's, right? How he's not the story, the context is that I saw in this movie Pirates of the Caribbean, one day Jack Sparrow's and the other woman, they kissed, right? And that woman has a boyfriend. And then Jack Sparrow says, he's a nasty pirate, right? He says that, well, I don't think you love that other boy, because if you have loved that person, you would never have kissed me that way. Which means that she's indecisive. She has doubt, right? So same applies to our spiritual path. We can't be indecisive in that. Maybe in the beginning we can be a little indecisive, but we need to have enough clarity. So I'm clear about what I want. I can't have an identity clash, an identity confusion. I need to be very decisive. Again, decisive is not with an egoistic decisiveness, but with a more researched, more introspective decisiveness, a better clarity rather than an indecisiveness. So these 5 things would keep us away from enlightenment or samadhi. So that's the idea here, the 5 hindrances: kamachanda, vyapada, thinamidda, uddacha, kukkucha. Now, some of these words, maybe when they are put together, maybe they are not very familiar, but kama, remember we discussed kama, raga, vyapada, abhyapachayo homi. When we say aham avero homi, abhyapachayo homi, avyapada means I'm free of ill will. Thinamida we haven't heard, Vichikicha we haven't heard. So that's the 5 hindrance. And then there's a beautiful sutra called the Vijja Bhagya Sutta. In Rodrigo, do you know what AN is? Anguttara Nikaya. It's a long discourse. It has a lot of numbers. So in this Vijja Bhagya, Vijja means the wisdom or knowledge. Now again, what is wisdom? What is intelligence is another big topic. But then what it says is, when tranquil, so Vijja Bhagya means what would be conducive to gain knowledge or gain supreme knowledge. Let me make a decision between knowledge and supreme knowledge, because knowledge can be anything. You hear something from news on CTV, that is also knowledge. Something that you believe in from your grandparents, they told you something and you're believing in, that is also knowledge. 1 + 1 = 2, that is also knowledge. Inferencing is also knowledge. So knowledge has a lot of elements in it. Some knowledges are verified, some knowledges are unverified. There's a classical definition in Bertrand Russell's justified true belief is correct knowledge. So what is correct knowledge? There are so many ways to distinguish. In fact, in Buddhism, that's one of the main inquiries called what is correct knowledge? Jnana Vibhaga, the correct knowledge. So we don't want to understand what is the most correct knowledge, but let's say that there's a knowledge and there's a more better purified version of a knowledge. So for that purified version of knowledge, Samma Jnana, the tranquility is developed. So in order to do that, we need to do certain things: tranquility and insight. So 2 words appear here which are very important for our final part: samatha and vipassana. When tranquility is developed, what purpose does it serve? The mind or the chitta is developed. And when the mind is developed, what purpose does it serve? The passion is abandoned. So samatha is abandoning your passion. Is it good to be passionless? Should we have passion?
Personally, I'm struggling with that. I mean,
Right.
passion in the Western sense is encouraged.
It's encouraged,
I always
right?
consider myself a passionate
Right.
person. Anything I'm passionate about, I pursue.
Right, right.
So
You
I'm
need to
struggling
be
with that.
right. It's very good because it gives that confusion. If I preach this to a child, don't abandon your passion, he's not going to study. Well, the monk said, no passion, I'm not going to study, I'm not going to do my work anymore, right? So what is this passion? Now that's I think I put the right balance for samadhi. But for the simplicity, I'll put this. Now, there are 2 ways for you to be balanced. One is to empty your passion completely. You're completely free of passion, you're a dull person, you're pure white. So theoretically speaking, if you are completely free of passion, there's no suffering because nothing bothers you, you don't want anything, right? Do you need ice cream? No, I don't want. I have no passion for that. Are you thinking about something? Yeah, someone stole the ice cream. I'm not passionate about it, so it doesn't matter. No vyapada. So theoretically, emptiness of passion, you're empty of suffering. But then it's not a possible way to live in the society, right? So then what if we put it this way? So there's passion and there's the opposite nature of passion, like matter and antimatter in universe. So if there's 50 of passion plus 50, there's a minus 50 of opposite of passion, raga, viraga. So raga is the passion, viraga is the opposite nature of the passion. So they are both in coexistence now. That is also a net zero, right? It's also a balance. So one idea is that completely empty. Okay, let's put it this way. If Buddha had no passion, he would have not said these things.
Correct.
Because he has no passion. But what if Buddha has a passion to help someone, at the same time has the opposite nature of the passion to completely let go of that in the next moment? Even that teaching, even that helping. If
Detachment.
Yeah, so you are attached and detached also, right? So one idea is that I'm completely free of attachment, which I think is not a very practical situation for most people. If you are a monk, if you are an ascetic living in a place somewhere, it's possible. Right? But if you live in a society, that 100% emptiness of passion and attachment is not possible. It's not healthy. But then we can have this idea, there is passion, there's also the opposite nature of passion. There's attachment, there's also the detachment at the same time, coexisting, right? But we'll get back to, like you said, it's a separate topic altogether. We don't want to dwell too much on that. So, but the thing is that samatha is only trying to take out your passion. But then there's insight, vipassana. If you develop the vipassana, when insight is developed, what purpose it serves? Discernment. There's an understanding, there's a knowing, a discerning. And when discernment is developed, what purpose does it serve? Your ignorance is abandoned. So you can be not passionate, but still ignorant. You can abandon your passion for all the wrong reasons. I know again, I don't want to put, because these things are very sensitive when you talk about religions. In Sri Lanka, there was a Easter bombing attack, suicide attack. So that person, he abandoned his passion. He was married, he had kids, and I saw that it was on TV, the suicide bomber. He abandoned all those passions for everything else because he had a different idea about what emancipation is. So you can abandon passion for all sorts of reasons, right? But then you can still have a diluted mind, not the most understanding mind. So insight is different, therefore. So one type of meditation, let's call it this meditation now, one type of mind research or meditation is samatha, and the other type is vipassana. Samatha falls in the region of more therapeuticness in mind. So it would have the calmness, and it would be more on the concentration line, mental absorption line. We'll get into what mental absorption is. So it's concentration, calmness, but vipassana is penetration. You go to the bottom of your mind. It's difficult, it's not calming, it's probably agitating, it's triggering because you're trying to get into the bottom of the mind. And the goal of samatha is usually mental absorption, also known as jhana. I'll get to what jhana is later. And the usual goal of vipassana is liberation, nibbana, and finding your wisdom, also known as panya. And then the point of inquiry in samatha is usually a single point. It could be breath, it could be a single point, it could be a thought, it could be contemplation. But in vipassana, the point is more phenomena in your body, your pain, your mind. So it's slightly different. And usually there's also another word called ekaggata, which means one-pointed concentration. Now this is why I want to completely keep away samadhi from all these things because there are specific words for concentration. Ekaggata. Your mind is on that point. It could be, there are many ways. I'll explain when it comes to samatha. What are the few avenues that you could do? There are millions of ways that you can have your samatha. So, but vipassana falls in the line of more discernment. How do we understand the three marks of existence, anicca, dukkha, anatta? But this understanding is not a contemplative understanding. Very important. It's not a thinking, it's a seeing. Now that's another separate topic in itself. What is the difference between thinking and seeing? Right? It's a very different topic. It's a very long topic. But then I find these topics are they should be researched, not intellectually discussed. Discussion is very important. It's very important. But then more than discussion, we need to really do it and see it. So that's a very important part of that.
Which one comes closest to what's commonly called flow state?
Samatha. Samatha. Flow state would be samatha. because you are in a flow, your mind is very comfortable in it, tranquil, serene in it. Vipassana can be the opposite. Your mind can be most agitated when you see the truth of the world. You can be scared, you can be upset, it can be anything, or it can be tranquil. So that good point, Joy. Samatha and Vipassana are always complementing each other. You can have Samatha because of Vipassana. You can have Vipassana because of Samatha. But then, having meditated a bit, I also know Samatha is also very addictive. It's like a drug. You can stay in that tranquil, uh, abandon your passion, not do anything, could live in that forever. It's like a drug. So abandoning your complete passion for everything else. I'm not passionate about anything. Steal my ice cream, steal my laptop. I'm good with my jhana. So which brings us to the next part, the samatha. So samatha literally means calmness or tranquility. So samatha, calmness or tranquility, this has been a practice which predates Buddhism by few thousand years. It has been practiced for a very long time. You find it in almost every culture. In almost every culture, you find elements of samatha, because everyone needs calmness, tranquility, right? And in Buddhism, samatha is not a main focus. It's advised to have samatha because you need to be calm-minded, right? That's true. But then always use the samatha as a stepping stone or a complement for the vipassana. And but then there are some points where complete, like fully enlightened monks, arahats. One day, Sariputta was sick. The monk Sariputta, remember Sariputta and Moggallana, the two closest disciples. One day he was sick, and then Buddha gives him an instruction to meditate. Right? Now, one who does, if he's already enlightened, why is he meditating? Well, by doing that, you can get out of all your sicknesses. For example, if you get into a absorption of mind where the body doesn't matter, where you're not in the sensory reception of body related things, all your pains are gone there. Let's say you are going through a cancer, you are in palliative care. Even in palliative care, that's what you do. Your senses are chemically blocked. But if you can use your mind to block it out, you have no sensation of your body. So whatever the body related pain is not my problem anymore. So samatha is used that way for ihatma sukha viharana. If you want to be free, if you want to be comfortable, if you are going through something physical, use samatha and be free of that physical trouble, physical suffering. It has nothing to do with craving, it has nothing to do with ignorance, it's your physical suffering. You're just, it's very hot, there's a heat wave, or it's very cold. Nothing to do with craving. Maybe there's something to do with craving if you're staying specifically outside for something, but otherwise, there are other physical phenomena where you can find a solution through samatha. So, one of the most go-to methods in samatha meditation is anapanasati, also known as breath work related mindful breathing. So I'll forget the samatha leading to vipassana now and comment on this as it's completely only samatha, only for therapeutic solace, calmness. So pranayama is a wonderful technique. Anapanasati, pranayama, they are wonderful techniques. We are doing a lot of breath work. And if you stay with your breath work and let go of everything else, you are going to be very tranquil, right? Maybe biologically you get more oxygenated, but on a secondary side, if you know how to stay with your breath, which is an automatic occurrence phenomena, which happens literally since your first breath to the last, so it's always there. And if you know how to stay with that, disconnected from everything else, pure samatha, right? And kasina is a more, it's a little deeper focus. In yogic practice, you get this thing called trataka, where you look at a candle or a flame and keep looking at it, or you concentrate on the point here. So there are many ways of doing that. Kasina, you can select a color yellow, and I am completely blanking out from everything, and my mind is completely on the color yellow. So there are discs, there are mandalas, there are many ways to do kasina. There's you can, so kasina is actually not opening your eyes and looking at things. It's more with your mental eye, mental image. You are in complete yellow. You are in complete. You can even do the kasina with the patavi, apo, tejo, vayu. Remember the four elements, the hardness, the nature of the liquid, patavi, apo, tejo, vayu. So you can do kasina. Another, so this is called deep one-pointedness, kasina. Metta is a wonderful way to do, metta, right? Loving kindness. So metta, that's why we often chant the Metta Sutta, because it encapsulates that instruction points or the characteristics of a person who's completely loving and kind, right? So loving kindness, you can go into this very euphoric samatha state. If you completely stop hating everyone, your life becomes automatically so beautiful. If you stop hating, there's no hatred, you become so full of light and full of joy for no reason again, right? And then Anusati. Now, if you listen to meditation apps on the Apple phone or in Google, pretty much a lot of meditation apps, they are working on this point of Anusati, contemplation. So we can contemplate of things. We can picture a Buddha, the kindness of Buddha. Now, if someone doesn't like Buddha, if he pictures Buddha, there's going to be Vyapada in his mind. Maybe then you have to picture your own personal deity, right? I picture Krishna, I picture Hanuman, I picture Mother Mary, I picture Jesus, I picture Allah, right? So whatever is close to your heart, right? And then you keep recollecting, you keep reflecting on that. It could be a person, it could be a nature, anything, right? So that's also a wonderful way to find the samatha. But then these are not strictly advised in Buddhism. So some people find Buddhism to be very dry. There's less therapy in it. It's pushing you towards vipassana, not towards samatha, right? And there's also a very nice, some people find it very disturbing, asubha bhavana. So I was in this monastery. There are 3 bodies of monks who have died previously, and they have died a few years ago. One died 5 years ago, one died 10 years ago, and they are dying and they are decaying. Their bodies are in a glass box. You are supposed to go there and look at the nature of your body. So some people would find it extremely disgusting, asubha. So subha means the more propitious thing, more auspicious thing. Asubha is the unauspicious things. So another group of sadhus I met in Ganges river bank are the Agori sadhus. They also do the Asubha Bhavana. They eat carcasses, they eat fallen fruit, they eat from cemeteries, but they are vegetarian. You would wonder, why are they eating meat if they are vegetarian? They are absolutely non-violent. Their principle is absolute non-violence. They don't want to hurt, kill anyone. But if something is lying on the ground, they would eat it. But then normal people would consider that to be very inauspicious, very bad, asubha. But they are using it and they are contemplating on that. What is the asubha nature in this? It's just food, right? So asubha for some people can be a very traumatizing meditation. But then people, I've seen Burma, Thailand, this is very famous, Asubha Bhavana. I have heard people getting scared by going into these rooms and contemplating in front of that monk who's dead. He's all liquefied and all that. So if you don't have the heart for that, don't do Asubha Bhavana.
Sounds like Shantideva. I got freaked out reading that.
Right.
Deconstructing the body.
Correct.
That.
Absolutely, you are right. So it would deconstruct the body into 32 elements, right? From hair, nails, everything. Detis kunapa, 32 elements, you deconstruct it and contemplate it. Well, eventually, no matter what you do, you are going to end up like that, sort of a reflection. But that would also take you to a place where your passion is completely gone. So this is why it is almost at the edge of nihilism, right? So so I find that you can do the opposite of this also. You can go into the complete opposite of that. Asubha, the complete opposite of Asubha is hedonism. Opposite of Asubha is hedonism. I want to indulge in everything possible, in smells, tastes, aromas, touches, sensations. I want to indulge. Now the idea is that every time you need to indulge, you also need to work your mind a lot. And when it's active, it's heavy on your mind, so you are drained, your energy is wasted on that. But if you take it out, you are free, so you feel calmer. So the path to calmness is not by filling your mind, by attaching, putting things to your mind, but by emptying your mind, coming to a single pointed concentration. So rather than going on the indulgence path, going on the hedonistic path, which is the opposite of Asubha, you go in the metta path, which is a more healthy way. You are not indulging, you are not attaching, but you are loving, compassion. So that's a better path. So you understand the psychology of samatha, right? And samatha is about this. It's more therapeutic, it's more calmness. And then you go to this next part, which is called jhana. The other day at the temple, we were discussing about the chan, what chan meditation is. So chan comes from this word jhan, jhana or dhyana. D sounds with dhyana also, which became Zen eventually. So jhana means a deep state of mental absorption. It's different to a more superficial way of focusing. It's a more profound, deeper mental absorption. So there are 8 jhanas from first to fourth, which are called rupa, and the last 4 called arupa. Now rupa, if you can remember, is the form, right? Form jhana. And then the next are formless jhana. What are formless jhanas? Now that again we can discuss about it, or you can really get into meditation and go there and see what it is, right? You won't see it because there's no form there. It's formless. Right? So often people try to put a form that they understand into this. So akasanyayatana, akasa literally means the sky. So people say, well, I went into meditation, I went into this space and I found blue sky. It was so blue, and then there was clouds and there was a plane which was going. That is not akasa jhana. You are contemplating on the sky, right? Akasanyayatana is free of all those mental forms. Forms, not formations, forms or mental concepts. It's free of concepts. How do we get into a state of mind where there are no concepts? Now that is a question I don't want to answer this way, because you can't really answer that question. If someone asks me, teach me the taste of salt, I can't do that. So the same way, the only way to figure it out is to get into meditation and do that. But jhana requires a little bit of more commitment. It's a full-time job. You need more time and you need more practice. But it's not humanly impossible. Anything is humanly possible. They are not magic. There's nothing mystical, or even there's nothing holy about it. It's just some people like doing it and they are doing it. See, we can't run like Usain Bolt, but I'm sure he has practiced a lot. We can't swim like Phelps. He has practiced a lot. Of course, there could be genetical advantages that he has, but they also have practiced a lot, right? So without practicing, we can't do that. And to practice, we need to have a lot of commitment. So these things are also like that. There's nothing mystical or supernatural, paranormal. They are very normal human states of mind. When you go into a deeper state of mental absorption, you can find your jhana. And then we get to this part, the great frames of reference, or Mahasatipatthana Sutta. This is where the Vipassana is discoursed mostly. You find it in a few places in the Pali Canon, in the Digha Nikaya, Samyukta Nikaya. You find it in quite a few places. I love this phrase, Ekayanang ayam bhikkhave maggang sattanang visuddhya chattaro satipatthano. Soka parideva samatikkamaya dukkha domanassa attangamaya nyayassa adhigamaya nibbanassa satchikiriyaya yadidan chattaro satipattano. It's in Pali language. I love that phrase. Chattaro satipattano means the four ways to find mindfulness. Four foundations of mindfulness. Chattaro sati. Chatta means four. Satipattana. Sati is translated as mindfulness. So this is the sort of the main tool of Buddhism, mindfulness. And then this is the direct path for the purification of beings. Sattanam visuddhya. When you say purification, purified of defilements, unwholesome roots. That's the purification, not a purification based on, you get purified from your body, or there's even purification. You go to a Ganga, you go to a river and you can get purified there. People believe in that. Or you can come to a monk and get blessed and purified. But you still can be internally very impurified. So this is more of an internal purification. And how do we get out of sorrow, lamentation, disappearance of pain and distress? Again, in your mind, not in your physical body. So how do we do that? There are four foundations to do this called Kaya, Vedana, Chitta, Dhamma. Let me show you the first part, Kaya Anupassana, which is related to breathing, posture and actions. Now, mindfulness again can be two parts. The mindfulness that you are actively mindfuling, you're trying to be mindful, and the automatic state of mindfulness, Ayasa and Nirayasa. Ayasa, you remember the word pranayama, prana ayama. You're trying to control your breath. And then there's automatic breathing. The breath naturally happens. So that is nirayasa, no ayama in it, no controlling in it. So the same way mindfulness can be, the beginner can try to find mindfulness by concentrating on mindfulness, so trying to become mindful, or it can be an automatic part of your muscle memory in your mind. So that's nirayasa. But then there's a precursor to that. There is case where a monk, having gone to the wilderness, shade of a tree and an empty building, aranyagatova, rukkamulagatova, shunyagaragatova, which means that you can't do it with hanging out with friends, and in that busy environment it's a little difficult to do that. So you need to find your seclusion. The idea is not to go to literally wilderness. You can even sit in downtown Gold in the busy environment, but then you need to find some seclusion. And also when you do certain types of meditation, when you have distracting sounds, it can be a little difficult. But for vipassana, it really doesn't matter. But for especially samatha, it can be distracting. So for samatha, we need a very calm and a quiet, secluded space. But vipassana, you can even do it in a very busy place, but it's generally for a beginner recommended to start it from a secluded place, quiet and an empty space. Why? Because we can do an operation anywhere, like when paramedics, when there's an accident, they do certain things on the ground where there's a lot of germs and all that. But the proper way, a better way to do that, a more safer way to do that is to go to operational theatre where it's immaculate. There are less germs, less distractions. So you can do it there also. But in the battlefield, for a sudden thing, like a quick accident, you can even perform an operation on the ground, which is very unhygienic. It still works, but there's a better way to do that, an easier way to do that. So that's why this part. And parimukam sati upatta petva means that mindfulness is always in the forefront. You're always mindful. Now we need to get into what mindfulness is. So let's go back to this one here. So mindfulness again, it is different to contemplating about things. Now people are doing walking meditation. There are two things you can do while, quite a few things, but two main things you can do while you are doing the walking meditation. You can think about how you are going to walk. I'm going to keep my left foot, and then I'm going to keep my right foot. You can think about that. Or you can think about what you did already. I kept my left foot, and then I touched the heel, I then touched the toe, and then I kept the right foot. So you can keep thinking about what you did, or you can think about what you're going to do. Or you can think about something completely not related. That's way far away from meditation now. But if you are doing some meditation, you can do either. Or you're not trying to think, you're trying to be observant. You're trying to feel the sensation. You're trying to know. So let's go back to this slide again. Breathing in long, he discerns. He knows that I am taking a deep breath and I'm taking a short breath. Digangva rassangva asasissamiti sikkati passasissamiti sikkati. So I'm taking a long breath, I'm taking a short breath, I'm taking a medium breath. What you take doesn't matter. Whatever you do, you know. There's discernment. You know what you are doing. So what you are doing is not very relevant. So that's why when people try to look at sati, some people ask, this person does not have good virtues. He doesn't wear white. He doesn't look like a holy person. Can he have mindfulness? Can that person have mindfulness? But then mindfulness is not dependent on what you are doing. It's dependent on if you know what you are doing, right? So it's a slight difference in that, a major difference actually. So it's about knowing but not thinking. If you go to certain books, like later on Mahayana Buddhist scholars, they would even go into say Kalpana Poda Brantam Nirvikalpam in Sanskrit, which means that you are not even thinking it in any way, and it's not a hallucination also, and it has nothing to do with thinking mind, judging mind. It's a non-judgmental, observing mind, right? So that is mindfulness. And then there are 4 elements to that, 4 foundations. Kaya means the bodily sort of somatic sensations, but it can be again interpreted in different ways. In a deep jhana, what is body? You still can have a body, but it is not this body that we are talking about. But let's not confuse it. Let's keep the simple explanation. It could be knowing your breathing, what posture you are in. For example, right now, can you know in what bodily posture you are at? Take a quick mental scan, not a mental scan, like a body scan. But we are not thinking about the body, we just know. We know that my body is like this, right? In fact, if you do dancing, you know where your body is. If you do yoga, you know where your body is, where your leg is, where your alignment is, you know where it is. So it's a wonderful way to be mindful. And then Vedananupassana, what is going in my mind, what is it going in my body? Pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. Sukha, dukkha, upeksha. Remember, there can be even neutral sensations, Vedana. There can be pleasant, unpleasant. And then what is in my mind? Is my mind, do I have greed? Do I have delusion? Do I have anger? Am I concentrated or am I distracted? So even if you are distracted, if you are not concentrated, you can still do the vipassana. But you can't do samatha when you are not concentrated. For samatha, you need to be concentrated. But for vipassana, I know that I'm ADHD. That is vipassana. My mind is all low and I know it, right? But then all these foundations, Kaya and Vedana is a foundation for the Chittanupassana, because when we try to look into our mind, instead of trying to discern, instead of trying to know or observe, we are thinking about our mind. So that is not what we are doing in Chittanupassana. And when you know how to know your mind, then you will see the nature of your mind. You will see the Dhamma. Remember, we started with the word Dhamma, the nature. You will see the 3 marks of existence. You will see the 4 noble truths. But what people usually do they say, I'm doing Dhammanupassana. I'm thinking about the 3 marks of existence. That is thinking. That is not Dhammanupassana. It's contemplation, which could be a good one for Samatha. I think of the 3 marks of existence. It's a very noble thing. 4 noble truths. It's very noble. I feel so good. That's samatha. But here, Dhammanupassana, I see it. I see the impermanence. It's not I'm thinking about the impermanence. Okay? So I just wanted to make that distinction. And all these frames of references, Chattaro Satipatthano, leads us to this point. The emancipation or the nibbana or the liberation or freedom. And we can put it this way, when we were painting this long time ago, I remember it was summer. There was a fly who got stuck in this, on the wall on wet paint. So the fly was stuck. I was trying to remove it with a toothpick. So he was stuck, and then when we remove one, he would get stuck again. Right? He could not get liberated. So this is how you're stuck to this existence. You're stuck to beliefs, you're stuck to people, places, things that you do, you're stuck to your own self. So how do you liberate from all these things? And how you discern, how you find this knowledge of discernment. That is Nibbana. Right? So it's often depicted in this symbol. I think it's a lotus and a something. It's a symbol that you...
It's like feels like infinity. It's like our mind is twisted.
Right.
We like when we are like going through that phase, then we are finding the way.
Right.
When we are going to the
Right. Very good. It's twisted and entangled, and it's unraveled now. It's free, and then
it's
you...
like how we are getting to our own spiritual path.
Good. Yeah. So you find that thing associated with the Nibbana, but if you can put something on Nibbana, that is not Nibbana. Because you are completely free, you are liberated, right? If you have a symbol and if you are stuck with that symbol, you are still stuck with that symbol. If you are stuck with the picture of Buddha, you are stuck with the picture of Buddha. So that brings us to the end of mindfulness part. But you see that it's very hard to discuss this in a, we did 12 sessions. It's very hard to do that in 12 sessions. It takes a little more time, and then there's a lot of jargon in here, right? So one thing we can do is we can do a very academic exercise and try to understand this jargon, but I think it's a useless exercise. The real thing is that you do a real research in your mind, which takes some time, and then we need to clearly distinguish between samatha and vipassana. Like that's why most of you have been to the retreats. When you come to the retreat, I ask, what do you want? Figure that out. Because you don't want to do vipassana if you are going through something which has the 5 hindrances. I did something, I'm very regretful of that, I'm going through something, I have doubt. Then you don't want to do vipassana, you can't do vipassana. So you need to calm your mind down first. Right? So it's very important to understand what we are looking through, what we are looking at when we want to do meditation. Vipassana meditation tend to be more on the dry side. There's less fun in it. Samatha is the fun part. Samatha is the fun aspect of it, and Vipassana is the more insightful side. And I always give this anecdote. It's like when we are having a headache, we can take an Advil, go to sleep and feel comfortable, and wake up tomorrow, go on with our life. But then 2 days later, I'm having that headache again, right? So we can go for a more permanent solution, or we can go for a temporary solace. Both are useful. Sometimes you need the temporary solace. Before you go to the doctor, before you go to the MRI, you need to take an Advil. But then the true emancipation is that when you take whatever the tumor, malignant thing which is pressing your mind, pressing your brain, you take it out, you're free of that headache. Right? So there's a more permanent solution, a more deeper solution, which is hard, dry, and difficult. You need to cut your brain open, a lot of drama there. But Advil, it's calming, it's therapeutic. You can be temporarily happy. Right? So depending on what we want, we can go for a solution, and that is what we have on Buddhism 101.
I have a question about the two types.
Yeah. Okay.
The question about the two types is Vipassana, throughout the way, obviously,
Right.
do you not get the same benefit as a samatha?
Wonderful question. Would you get the same benefit of samatha while doing vipassana? That's a very good question. Let's say that I'm doing vipassana, I'm really angry. I'm really agitated, and I know I'm agitated. The moment that you know you are agitated, you can get out of your agitation. Sometimes. If you're really, really agitated, if that agitation is so powerful, maybe not. But sometimes, if it's a mind agitation, you get to know that I am agitated. That moment, oh, I am agitated. I don't want to be agitated. I can get out of that. Right? You can only actually consciously get out of something if you know, if you're mindful. So a side benefit of vipassana is samatha. Right? But samatha might lead to vipassana. When your mind is calm, you may go there to vipassana, because now you can have a better view. Like if there are 100 people in this room, I can't concentrate on everyone. I can't look at everyone. But if there's only one or two, I can look at them, I can observe them better. So the same way, if there are 100,000 thoughts in our mind, I can't understand anything. I can't understand the 3 marks of existence. I can't do anything. But then if there's only a few thoughts, quite a handful of thoughts, I can clearly see them. I can see how they start, origin, cessation, etc. So samatha is a wonderful platform for vipassana. It's a wonderful platform. In fact, jhana is also a wonderful platform for vipassana. So sometimes Buddha encourages people to find this jhana and go there. But then he also gives a warning. These jhanas are so addictive. There's a sutta called Attakanagara Sutra, which means these eight jhanas are like 8 exits in a house. The house is on fire, right? It's burning, but you don't want to go out of these 8 exits. You are just happily inside. So jhana can be very addictive like that. It can even, you don't want to do your vipassana, you don't want to understand the nature of mind. You're completely fine and very happy with that tranquil peace. That is also a danger. But it's a danger for people who really practice meditation a lot. Otherwise, it's not a danger. Right? So vipassana can lead to samatha. Yeah. Yes.
So regarding samatha kasana, so with respect to the kasana, I'm wondering if in some of the traditions that I've had the experience of practicing in, if I'm not doing kasana without actually knowing it, so say
Right.
raising the kundalini or
Right,
say
right, right.
kirtan, where we
Right.
focus on the music,
Correct,
or
correct.
we're encouraged to focus on, say, the crown chakra or
Correct.
third eye. Is that kasana?
It is kasana. So the meditation type called japa. Japa means japa,
The beads.
continuous repetition.
Right.
Yeah. So japa beads are known because japa means continuous repetition, like you repeat. It could be a vocal repetition, it could be a mental repetition, or it could be a repetition of a sound like a Tibetan bell, repeating continuously. So when you are absorbed in that repetition, it is a samatha. It can lead to jhana. So you can listen to a drummer,
Right.
and you can be completely absorbed in it. It can be a kirtan. It could be a simran meditation, right? It could be a prayer meditation. It could be anything. So, or you could be looking at a wheel which rotates, and there are these mesmerizing wheels. You get hypnotized looking at the wheel. In fact, if you look at the mandala is meant for that. Mandala. Yeah. So there's no end to samatha meditations. There are millions and zillions ways of doing samatha. So to summarize what we have been doing, so we looked at how Buddhism started, and there are different denominations, there are different branching outs of Buddhism. But then our biggest focus on trying to understand the nature of mind, Dhamma. I introduced a few words, but more than words, I was talking very in normal language. Like I was just showing different natures of our mind. How do we become happy? What's the nature of happiness? What do we need to be happy? We need places, 4 P's: places, people, possessions, and pastimes. And when you are happy, what happens to that? There's a beginning, there's a sustenance and a cessation eventually, like a bell curve. And then we looked at the 2 feelings: disappointment, uncertainty, anger, and fear. 4 feelings actually, the more harder or the more negative side of it. And then we looked at the more theoretical aspects of the same nature of mind. So it is essentially the nature of mind, but I introduced a little bit of technical jargon in that. 4 noble truths, 3 marks of existence, and then to further explain the concept of anatta, I even brought out the 5 aggregates and an even more complicated model last week, right? And then dependent arising. And then we looked at the path which is prescribed. So some of that is a doing and some of that is a being. So in order to be, you can't do anything. It's you are being like that, right? You are either like that or you are not like that. And then today we ended up with the core idea, the key element of that, vipassana. So there are 2 takeouts. If forget everything, if you can take 2 things out, samma ditti and vipassana or mindfulness. And then samma ditti means we have so many beliefs, notions, paradigms. It's perfectly okay to hang on to all these things, but then know that they are based on limited knowledge, limited instruments, limited rationale. So if we are ready to leave that, we are ready to explore. But if we are not ready to leave those paradigms, we are not going anywhere. So there's also a suggestion, always have a beginner's mind. Like a kid, they keep asking questions, why, to a point which is very annoying, right? But they keep asking questions because they have the beginner's mind. An adult, even if that person wants to know something, that they would not ask, because I might be considered as someone who's not knowledgeable on this, where I am supposed to be knowledgeable. You don't ask that question, why, what is it? Because you need to maintain your status, knowledgeable status. So abandon that knowledgeable status, abandon everything that you know. Now you probably know why I say before meditation, forget everything you know. I keep repeating that. So forget everything you know, empty your mind, and then you will have a learning mind, a beginner's mind. So that's what we have gone through. But then again, we don't want to stop this conversation or this understanding at any point. We will pursue this in our meditation, we will pursue this in our practice, in our day-to-day life, and see what we can get out of that. It's a continuous education. Like Toronto University, they have continuous education. So it's a continuous education. Yeah.
So I just wanted to make a comment. First off, how grateful I am for the last 12 sessions. I think my big takeaway from all this is the need to find that middle way, right? Where you can become attached to non-attachment. You can become passionate about non-passion. And, you know, how many, like for instance, you know, I was kind of caught up in the concept of doubt there, because lack of doubt turns into faith, which turns into dogma. And then I was then struck by the limitation of language around the concept of doubt. Any of these things that we spoke about in the last 12 weeks, taken too far without the right understanding, could lead you into a paradoxical trap. And how, why I'm so grateful for you to have been a guide over the last 12 weeks, because my understanding, which is primarily up to this point in time come from books, has been incorrect in some cases, because I've read things without contemplating it deeply enough, and perhaps I'm taking it too far. So, yeah, it's I have to rewatch all these 12. Like, if you said this is just the sort of the
tip
the
of the
basics,
iceberg.
yeah,
It's the tip of the iceberg, really.
my mind is blown.
Yeah, but don't take it seriously, okay?
No, but and that's true too. Is to have an understanding of it, but then give up that.
Right.
That's the middle path.
Right.
Is to understand it at a level that I'm not thinking about it, but I sort of accept it and integrate it, and then let go.
Right.
And that's the hard part.
And also, I think you know, if you are to give something to a kid, you need to sugarcoat it. But if you are to give something, teach something to an adult, you need to make sure that it looks very complicated. Then only they take it seriously. But otherwise it's really simple. Right? So probably some monk now, a few monks down the line, they made it really complicated looking, so the adults should take it seriously. Right? But it's really very simple. Yeah. So we will continue our ongoing conversation around this. It's not an end, but it's a beginning. Right? It's not an end, it's a beginning. So let's do that, and we'll end our session here today officially until we continue upstairs. So let's take a moment now to reflect that we have gathered here today with some intention. And when we go home today, when we have some time today, or maybe not today, even any day, let's try to reflect on why we came here. What is my true need of doing all this? What is my true purpose, idea of pursuing all this? Let's try to have that mental clarity, but we are still doing a thinking exercise. We are reflecting, contemplating on that. But then we will also take it a little forward. Instead of reflections, we will try to be mindful on things, know things rather than judge things as and when they are happening. In fact, to know things, we have to sometimes judge. But then let's judge things with the understanding that we are judging. So that way we can be a more impartial observer than a more judgmental observer. And let's try to cultivate these wonderful qualities. But we also should not forget that these qualities are useless if we are not beneficial to ourselves, mostly to the people around us. If we are doing it with a very selfish intention of I am the only one who's going to get enlightened and rest of the world, I don't care. That is not the correct attitude. We need to look into all aspects, have a very wholesome, balanced approach to life, to people around us, to the nature, and everyone who's connected, and do our job, but then at the same time not to attach to that job. So in that note, let's make a wish. May all the beings who's physically present here, who have been here with this last 12 months, whoever who's connected to them, those people, their families, their loved ones, people who are among us, people who have left their lives, and not only those people whom that even do not know, who are in this city, in this country, in this world, in all directions, all realms. May all these beings find the peace of mind, the tranquility of mind, the samatha of their mind. May they take their journey little further. May they do the vipassana. May they discern, may they understand the nature of their mind, and may they be free of their defilements, their unwholesome roots, and may they find their liberation, not awarded by a supreme power. We are not leaving it to the nature. We carve our own path for our liberation. With that note, let's make a wish. May all beings in all directions, in all realms, may they be happy, may they be joyful, may they be peaceful, and may they be blissful. Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.